Hi, my name is Allison from the Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency. Today we're at Calcutta Kitchens to learn more about their Tiffin reuse program. Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency has a community spotlight where we feature businesses that prioritize sustainability and reuse. Do you mind just introducing yourself, to the camera?
Hi, my name is Aditi Goswami, the owner and founder of Calcutta Kitchens. Food business started about 15 years ago. Started with selling a line of sauces and food products in the farmers markets in New York City and Westchester County. Grew from there and forward of 15 years, and I opened King Store in Kingston in 2022. Initially, the idea was such a demand for prepared vegan and vegetarian food at the farmers market that I thought, there's a growing market for it, and Indian food lends itself very easily to vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free options, and people seem to appreciate what I do. So maybe I'll just have a small store selling just that. That was the initial idea, but then the place kind of took a life of its own, and here we are. We serve every day fresh, and we call them Tiffins. And the word Tiffin, India actually originally refers to a light meal, usually at lunch, but it's also synonymous with these containers because we use those to carry your lunch to work or to school in these containers. So the containers themselves are referred to as tiffin, and the meal it also refers to a tiffin. And the meal doesn't necessarily need to be a light meal. It's actually a pretty full meal, and so tiffin is essentially a meal, and the container also kind of goes by that name. So it's interchangeable. We serve 2 meals a day, which are called tiffins. People had a lot of questions what tiffins are, so we kind of had to do some explaining. To pre-tradition, call them in India, a lunchtime meal was a tiffin, and since we are primarily a lunchtime place, that's what we call it. A meat option, a vegetarian option, and then a bunch of other smaller dishes to go with it, and a lot of prepared foods that they can take from our fridge and freezer.
What does the word Calcutta mean, and why did you decide to open in Kingston specifically?
So Calcutta is where I'm from. It's a very big city in eastern India, where I come from the state of West Bengal. My mother tongue is Bengali. My food is ethnically similar to Bangladeshi food, actually, because that's where my original family was from. I grew up appreciating food from all parts of India, and to open a restaurant or to be in the food business with Indian foods was such a wealth in Indian cooking and food, especially home cooking, which is not known in the United States. Most of it is like a very standard restaurant format. And I'm not a trained chef in restaurant cooking, but I've been a home cook all my life, and I've grown up around women who have been really expert cooks all their life, and that's the kind of food I cook. So the idea of opening a restaurant was essentially doing what I do well, which is home cooking, and letting customers discover the other side of Indian cooking, the wealth of Indian home cooking. And Kingston I happen to live in the area, moved to state New York about 5 years ago, primarily because when I did the farmers markets in New York, most of my fellow vendors and friends who were farm owners were all from this area. So I have a lot of friends in business in this area, and I love people from this area, and I love this area. So I was waiting till my kids were old enough to leave the house and that I could move to upstate New York. And once they did, I moved, and Kingston looks like a thriving, diverse community, and I live here, so there were a lot more people were open to the idea of this kind of a food, vegan, vegetarian, Indian, than I've seen anywhere else in my experience. And the opportunity to lease the storefront came up, so one thing led to another. So it was not really fully planned, but it's kind of an organic growth.
Thank you. So where do you draw the inspiration for Calcutta's daily Tiffin menu, and do you think that this also inspires your restaurant to be more sustainable?
I haven't thought of it in those lines, but definitely so. See, when growing up in India, I watched women who did all the home cooking really make a lot of out of very little. Every bit of scrap was used, potato skins, cauliflower stalks, nothing went to waste. And it's kind of ingrained in my culture and my habits to be thrifty with everything, because what's a good point in wasting? Like, not good in any way. It's not good for the environment. It's not good for the pocketbook. It's not good for your well-being. So, thriftiness and utilizing everything as much as you can is kind of a general way of life. When I grew up in India, the inspiration for my daily Tiffin menu really is very simple. I always thought if I ever had to open a restaurant, which I never thought I would, that it would be something like, hey, this is the food I made today at home. This is what I have to offer. I'm not a kind of restaurant who makes 50 different meals a day. We make two meals, two really good meals. If you came to my house, this is what I would offer. If you come to my restaurant, this is what you get. So you have very limited selection, and the two meals usually like have a balance, so that even if you were to have a little of each, it would represent a full meal. Or if you were to have any of the meals, that would be a balanced full meal too.
I think for a lot of like outside of the US cultures, like so much of that food, there is no food waste because you're using it all. And also like restaurants sort of promise this like home cooking idea where you're really making that happen, you know.
I will tell you that the institutional setup to run a business in America is not geared for not wasting food. It's not something I can change single-handedly. I can only do small things, but the model is built that there will be significant waste, and people have to be okay with it. And us, we waste very little food here. We just enough for everything to be sold out, and if it's sold out, that's fine. I don't have to squeeze every bit of profit I can. I think in the long run, being sustainable and wasting less is more profitable than in the short term.
So you prioritize reuse through your Tiffin program, give discounts to people that bring them for their meal. What motivated you to start this program, and what tips do you have for restaurants who are looking to do a similar program?
Motivation really comes from seeing what's happening around the world with climate change and how the future generations are going to suffer a lot if we don't make significant changes to our lifestyle right now. And again, as a single individual human being or a business owner, I can't change the world or promise to change the world, but I can do little things in the hope that they make some dent in our lifestyle, or I can only teach by example. So this comes easily to me. We source our Tiffin containers from India, and this is something I grew up with. I love, as a kid, kids love carrying their little sort of own lunch boxes to school. It's fun to kind of take apart the compartments and, have, it's like opening up your little magic Tiffin box and seeing what is inside today. What did your mom pack for you? And we used to share each other's Tiffin. So I have very fond memories of using these containers. Even when you were on a road trip, you would pack a meal with this, you'd carry it in the long distance trains. So these are very significant part of daily Indian life, even to this day, very much so. And it's enthusiastic to see that people are catching on with the idea of these reusable containers. I was seeing them around. We always had them from the very beginning to sell in our store. I'm like, why not encourage people to just use them to carry it? I really don't like using all the plastic that we have to use in the food service business, but there's really no way out of it for me right now. Our kind of we make is best held in a very sturdy container, like a stainless steel container, ideally, or a plastic container. Paper containers are not built for that. The use of this reduces some of the plastic use, and our customers love it. Some of them instantly took to it, so that was the motivation.
I think you covered, really well, so thank you.